everybody, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk, movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeFries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is your editor-in-chief for AMC Movie News, John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the AMC Movie News headquarters here in Burbank, California. And I got schooled today in all things Disney Hercules.
Also, here's writer-director John Schnepp.
Hello, people from Earth.
And AMC's Mark Ellis.
We're acting a little weird today because we were expecting a delivery of donuts this morning, and they never showed up.
You know what? I'm going to write a movie. It's called Sinead, what should I call it? Sinead, a chronology of false promises.
That's so not Sinead.
Yes. Somebody promised to bring donuts in today.
Empty donut box. That's so not Sinead.
I'm sorry, guys. All right. At the Cannes Film Festival currently taking place, Pixar and Disney animation boss John Lasseter gave a 2-hour presentation about the upcoming slate of Pixar and Disney animated films. Included in that presentation were details about the upcoming Finding Dory and The Good Dinosaur. In Finding Dory, the story picks up just 6 months after the original when the characters re-team to go on a quest to find Dory's parents, who will be voiced by Diane Keaton and Eugene Levy. In The Good Dinosaur, Lasseter explains the story centers on Arlo, an apatosaurus who, after losing his father in a tragic accident, falls into a river, gets knocked out by a rock, and finds himself in a land far away. As he makes the trek back home to the Clawed Tooth Mountains, he befriends a human cave boy named Spot. This is a boy and a dog story, but the roles are reversed, Lasseter said. Arlo, the dinosaur, is the boy in the story, and Spot is the dog, meaning Arlo stands upright and speaks, while Spot travels on his hands and feet and grunts. Schnepp, how do you like the sound of Finding Dory and The Good Dinosaur?
Sounds really cool. It sounds weird. Like The Good Dinosaur sounds really weird, but it's a Pixar film, so I'm going to buy it, and we're not even buying and selling it. I'm just buying it right now, just for myself, greedily, holding it here until it comes out. No, but, we've heard about The Good Dinosaur for years. They had problems with it, some director shift outs. The whole thing kind of got rebooted from the beginning. And if you don't know, Pixar does a lot of concentrated work in their story department. They have a lot of storyboard artists do multiple takes on the script and try different, hey, what if, like, for Finding Dory, I looked at all the different versions of the shark attack. And there's like literally 30 of them, and then they get it down to the best 5, and then they do animatics of those. And it's a competitive thing, but it's also to how can we tell the story the best way. So I'm looking forward to the Finding Dory, especially because I love the first one, Finding Nemo.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy with what I'm hearing, because The Good Dinosaur has been that huge question mark floating around. It's like, hey, this is going to be the first year that Pixar is going to give us 2 films in 1 year, and we're all talking about Inside Out. Everybody's raving about Inside Out, and then there's that other one that we've known like nothing about except for all the drama you were talking about coming in. This sounds really interesting. This sounds like a really neat take on it. It's kind of, like you said, the role reversal kind of situation, which is something Pixar is actually really quite good at doing. And quick story though, John Lasseter, there's not many people, when you do what we do, you get desensitized from being starstruck pretty much ever. But I was at the Big Hero 6 premiere, and the after party was in this big Japanese temple kind of restaurant. And they bust everybody from the theater there. And as I was walking in, it took us about 5 minutes in line to get in because they're coat checking and stuff like that. And then the guy turned around to take his coat off, and I realized for the last 5 minutes, I've been standing behind John Lasseter. And I just about collapsed. Like, I was like, holy crap, you're John Lasseter. Like, I had a geek out moment with that. But anyway, this all sounds good to me. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, The Good Dinosaur sounds like it's going to continue that beloved Pixar tradition of making me run through a box of Kleenex in the first 5 minutes. I mean, the poor guy's dad dies at the beginning of the movie. Again, that's exactly what happens in Up. And then, you continue weeping and you have a great story afterwards.
And Finding Nemo is...
And Bambi.
See, I hadn't seen Finding... Yeah,
and
Bambi,
Dumbo.
Bambi was also a film. Don't bring up Dumbo, please. Trying to maintain
I
my
just brought it up.
I think the thing with Finding Nemo, though, I watched that later in life. I watched that for the first time a couple years ago, so I enjoyed it. Finding Dory, I don't care about personally. However, the voice talent that they have in there is when you especially bring on Eugene Levy and Diane Keaton. That's what gets me excited about that. That seems like more of the classic Pixar where the kids are going to get some sort of moral crap out of it, and I am going to enjoy it for a few laughs, right?
Right.
But when the Good Dinosaur, this sounds like it could further the animation, what Pixar's always been a great pioneer at, and the way that they tell that story sounds very intriguing to me. So I'm really locked into both. I'm not going to buy them yet because it's not that segment.
I'm buying it.
But it looks good.
I like that the kid's name is Spot and he's a dog.
All right, what's next?
According to a report in Deadline, Jack Reacher 2 has found its director. The trade claims that director Edward Zwick is now in final negotiations to helm the sequel to Jack Reacher, which made over $215 million worldwide. Zwick had previously directed star Tom Cruise in the 2003 film The Last Samurai, and has also directed films such as Legends of the Fall, Defiance, and Blood Diamond. John, is Edward Zwick a good choice to direct Jack Reacher 2?
Yes. Yes, he is. It's kind of funny because Jack Reacher was one of those films where it was like nobody gave it a lot of attention when it was first came out. Right. Expectations were fairly low. Tom Cruise hadn't been viewed yet as returning to the power of Tom Cruise yet, and then I went to go see it with very mild expectations, and I walked out having had a really good time. I enjoyed that movie a lot, especially considering it was what was the name of the director of the first one? Was it Macquarie?
Yeah.
Macquarie. And he had worked with Macquarie before on several different projects, and now I believe Macquarie is directing him in the new Mission Impossible film, which is great. So what does Cruise and company do? Let's go back to another guy that I worked with before in another film that worked, because I actually really quite like The Last Samurai. I wasn't all that big on the last 10 minutes of it, but I thought the film was really good. So when you look at this guy's repertoire, very quietly, this is a director who has put together a really impressive resumes with not only the titles of the films he's done, but the job he's done on those films. So I think I'm glad the movie's coming back. I'm glad, Cruise is going back to guys he's worked with before, and I'm glad that it's this guy in particular. So I like everything about this, Schnapp.
Yeah, Ed Zwick, he's also one of the creators of 30-something. The TV show.
Right.
And his first movie, Glory, is how I just knew Ed Zwick. Funny story, when I lived in Chicago, his dad ran this amazing video store that one of my roommates worked at. It was called Video Schmidio. And James Earl Jones and all these different actors would always go there, and they would get videos. And his dad was this really kind of brusque guy. He was like, what do you want now, Schnapp? When I'd come in, because my roommate would work there. It was those 4 movies for free is what I want. So it's a great place to just get movies constantly and watch and then return for free. That's what I love from Video Schmidio. So that's my story, Ed Zwick. Thanks to your dad. I got a lot of good movies.
For some reason, when you start talking about his dad, he says his dad owned a big donut shop in Chicago. I don't know why. I felt like there was a universal
donuts
connection.
are in your mind because we were all expecting free donuts this morning.
Oh my gosh!
Imagine telling James Earl Jones that he owes $1 for not rewinding his tape on time. Sorry, we're out of the last. What do you mean you're out of the last Starfighter?
It's worth it. You'd be like, that's it. I just want to hear you say that Darth Vader voice tone, and it's free.
I think Edward Zwick has a great track record when you look at stuff like Defiance and, like you said, Glory and The Last Samurai. So he knows how to make Tom Cruise look of normal height in films. But Jack Reacher, I thought I was really let down by Jack Reacher.
Really?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I didn't like the movie
You
at all.
didn't like Werner Herzog as the villain?
I did not. The best part of Jack Reacher was the star power that Tom Cruise. Look, I love Tom Cruise. Okay, I'll go see anything that dude is in. So I will be excited to watch Jack Reacher 2 because I hope they make it better than the original. I think Zwick is the guy to do it. What I'm more nervous about is actually that Christopher McQuarrie is doing Mission Impossible 5. Now, some of those fears were alleviated when I saw the trailer and they tied him to the side of an airplane, and that looks like classic Mission Impossible. But for Jack Reacher, that film didn't get me excited to see any sequels more so than I would be just because Tom Cruise is in it. So I hope Zwick does a good job. I'm rooting for you, but doesn't move the needle a lot for me.
You know why I'm actually so excited? It's not because what idiot doesn't like Jack Reacher? Not that at all, because I know a number of people don't like. I just, for whatever reason, I thought, wow, that's a movie that Mark would really like. So clearly, I don't know you at all.
Well, take it back and get me something else for Christmas. You got some time.
A box of donuts.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for buy and sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Sinead's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Mark, Schnepp, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Sinead, what do we got?
Warner Brothers has just released the first trailer to their new Zac Efron film, We Are Your Friends. Set in the world of electronic music and Hollywood nightlife, an aspiring 23-year-old DJ named Cole, played by Efron, who spends his days scheming with his childhood friends and his nights working on the one track that will set the world on fire. All of this changes, however, when he meets a charismatic but damaged older DJ named James, who takes him under his wing. Things get complicated when Cole starts falling for James's much younger girlfriend, Sophie. With Cole's forbidden relationship intensifying and his friendships unraveling, he must choose between love, loyalty, and the future he is destined for. Mark.
You get me Jack Reacher for my birthday. You call me Mike. It's like people don't even know me.
Didn't bring you donuts.
Mark. Do you buy or sell the trailer for We Are Your Friends?
Oh, man, I'm really on the fence about this, but I'm an eternal optimist, so I will buy it barely because Efron looks great in it. He looks like one of these guys that he continues to make the right choices as far as appealing to his fan base, but also also stretching himself as an actor. I think that's what's going to happen here. Plus, I think Wes Bentley, I like seeing Wes Bentley in movies. He looks like, I can pretty much predict what that role is going to be. I think he's going to be his mentor, then he's going to get jealous because Efron is hooking up with his girlfriend, so he's going to backstab him. Something along those lines. This trailer gave away a lot. It was a long trailer. Yeah. I don't care about the world of DJing in the slightest. Unless you're playing Foghat, I don't want to know you as a DJ. I don't do, it doesn't appeal to me personally at all, but I think that Efron looks like he's coming to play in this film, so I'll buy it.
Look, I am not on the fence about this. Everybody knows that I am one of the only standing by his own free will defender of Zac Efron. I think this dude is far more talented than he gets credit for. I think he's shown us even just glimpses of what I think he's really capable of. This trailer sucks. This trailer is a giant steaming pile of crap. This movie looks disgustingly awful. I mean, wretchedly bad. This almost looked like a gang from Saturday Night Live said, hey, let's put together a really crappy trailer on purposely bad, and let's get Zac Efron to be in it with this. This is terrible. First of all, I don't buy this dude as a DJ at all. Secondly, it just panders to the whole, younger generation things of, I don't actually want to work for anything. I just want to do something in my bedroom and get rich and famous. Yeah. And then it's the freaking Josie and the Pussycats Jim and the hologram thing all over again. Bunch of friends are going to make it big in the music business. Oh, and then the big media moguls come around and want him to ditch his friends and do it on his own and all the friends. And then the power of friendship will save everything at the end. This looks awful. Zach, what are you doing? Anyway,
we are friends. Friends. We are friends. Even the ending of the trailer felt like a commercial where it was like, we are like edits of different people saying the same dialogue. Look, I got a lot of friends who are DJs. I'm not saying it's just clicking a button. It is work. And
it's hard
a
stuff.
Skill.
Oh, yeah. I'm not taking anything away from that.
And I think that they are capitalizing on that new trend of being a DJ. I don't like that they're equating it to like the easy life of just like, hey, man, did you hear about that dude who was 26 and sold Instagram for $4 billion? It's like, it is kind of this weird, like, let's all just hang out and get rich kind of thing. Let's all rely on our one friend who has this skill set. So that's kind of, I thought it was really well shot. I'll say that. The trailer it is a very long trailer. It feels like you've seen the movie when you've seen this trailer. But I like the way it was shot. I like the way it was edited. It is that same story that's told again and again and again. So I didn't hate the trailer or the concept of it that much, but I'm going to sell it because it's just not in my wheelhouse. So,
in case it wasn't clear, I hated this trailer. Okay, sorry. What's next?
John really hated this trailer.
Really on the fence.
He totally hated it. Didn't like it.
All right, well, speaking of trailers, Sony Pictures has just released the newest trailer for their upcoming film, Pixels, starring Adam Sandler, Kevin James, Josh Gad, and Peter Dinklage. When intergalactic aliens misinterpret video feeds of classic arcade games as a declaration of war against them and attack the Earth, President Will Cooper has to call in his childhood best friend, 80s video game champion Sam Brenner, now a home theater installer, to lead a team of old-school arcaders, Dinklage and Gad, to defeat the aliens and save the planet. Schnepp, do you buy or sell the newest trailer for Pixels?
I'm very angry right now because honestly, like, when I heard about Pixels, I was like, it sounds cool. All these 80s games. And then I saw the first trailer and I hated that first trailer.
Oh, yes, you
I
did.
ranted on it for quite a bit. And I was totally ready to hate this one. I was like, man, more of this suckage, bring it. And then I actually love this trailer. Something turned. I think it was them teaming up with Qbert. That Qbert is their friend, and in all these scenes, and that's
Hubert's getting a lot of work lately. I mean, between Wreck-It Ralph and a significant role in there.
He deserves it.
That's
Qbert. That's how he sounds.
Did you just order a dozen donuts in Qbert language?
That is both Qbert and you drunk.
Yeah, so I want to hang out with a drunk Qbert. So this movie, this trailer, all of a sudden I'm totally jazzed to see it. Like, just those extra elements. I still don't buy the ending with this is the guy who created Pac-Man, getting his handy
sweet little boy.
I know. But all those scenes of the Pac-Man chasing him in the truck, chasing him and like jumping off of a building with Pac-Man chasing him, just incredible action scenes that really played out really well in this trailer that felt clunky and strange in the other trailer. Just the way that they put this trailer together sold me and actually got me excited to see the film. The way they bring these champions back by having them all try out again, like bring on the people who play the game in the 80s, and they all have to try out, and these are the top 4. So I don't know. I mean, Adam Sandler sold me on it. Just as his few scenes that he was in, I laughed. Which I gotta say wholeheartedly that this trailer has got me incredibly excited to see Pixels, and I fully buy it.
I thought it was interesting that the Donkey Kong champion is the one guy in the cast who was not in the Donkey Kong scene in the trailer. This movie's going to be horrible, but I have to give the trailer a buy. And I'm going to give it a buy. I'm in a great mood today. I'm going to give it a buy.
I'm sorry I didn't want your Jack Reacher DVD. I'm sorry. It was a very nice gesture.
I'm going to give it a buy simply because while I still don't think it's a good trailer, I think it is a markedly a big improvement over the last one. This is a better trailer. Like the last one, I almost couldn't even finish watching the trailer. And that was only 2 minutes long and I almost had to hit stop. This one had some redeeming quality. I didn't like it nearly as much as you did, obviously. I still don't think it has done nothing to increase my expectations of the film.
Cubert
was a nice ad. And it is, like I said, it's decidedly a better trailer than that first one. So, for that reason, I'm going to give it a buy. I'll say good job on the trailer.
I'm giving this trailer a big buy. You know, when I saw the first trailer, I liked it. I liked the first trailer, but I loved the concept. That's what won me over. And then as the trailer progressed, I was like, all right, come on, guys, let's make sure we're funny here. This was funny. This trailer made me laugh. I think it painted a better, more clear picture of what the story is, or at least what I hope the story is. And it's Adam Sandler and it's Kevin James. We've seen them in a bunch of movies together, but it doesn't look like it's just going to be Adam Sandler and his cronies again, because you had the addition of Peter Dinklage, who's really funny in the trailer, and Josh Gad, who's really funny in the trailer. They still have that Pac-Man scene at the end, which I think it's almost like they didn't have confidence in the first 2 minutes of the trailer that they were showing you, so they had to put this in there. I don't know who that dude knows in Hollywood to get him into the end of this trailer, but you don't need it. It would have been a funny reveal in the film without showing in the trailer, but I'm excited for this movie. I agree with you, John. I might be let down. I'm not going to say this movie's going to stink. I hope it's good. I'm prepared to be let down, but this trailer I thought was awesome.
Well, but I could be completely pleasantly surprised. I mean, look, I crap talked that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie for forever. Maybe this can be the same thing. Pleasant surprise, maybe. All right, what's next?
Warner Brothers has announced a release date for their new Ben Affleck, J.K. Simmons, and Anna Kendrick film, The Accountant, in which Affleck stars as a mild-mannered accountant who moonlights as a lethal assassin. The Accountant will hit AMC theaters on January 29th, 2016, which puts it directly up against The Finest Hours, starring Affleck's brother, Casey Affleck, Ben Foster, Chris Pine, and Eric Bana, and also against Kung Fu Panda 3. John, do you buy or sell this date for The Accountant?
I actually buy the date. You know, we often talk of January, early February, these are the dumping grounds. This sounds like a great weekend at the movies. Look, I'm a big fan of the Kung Fu Panda series. I really am. Actually, I thought Kung Fu Panda 2 is probably some of the best choreographed action sequences we've ever seen in an animated film. The Kung Fu in that movie just look fantastic for an animated film. I've been following The Finest Hours for a while. This sounds like it's going to be a really cool thing. And when you take The Accountant, Affleck and J.K. Simmons and Anna Kendrick, look, it sounds like a formula that we've heard before, you know, a mild-mannered guy who's actually an assassin. Okay, maybe, but the players involved make me excited. I think this makes for a great weekend. Counter-programming with the animated film and this. Yeah, I got to give it a buy. Shep?
I'll buy it. I wonder, is The Accountant supposed to be a comedy or is it serious?
I'm not sure.
I think it's more, I mean, Gavin O'Connor's directing it. He did Warrior, so I think it's going to be a more serious tone film. I would hope so from the looks of it, but I'm sure J.K. Simmons is going to be funny.
Because I'm just looking at that picture and then I'm like, is it a comedy? It's so easy to be like, J.K. Simmons, there he is. Or is he from Whiplash? Like, you know, so if it's a serious thriller, then I'm totally buying it because that sounds really fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy it if it was just this movie that I just found out about, and that was the only one that was coming out January 29th, because I am something of a monthist. I think that most movies that come out in January are going to be crap. But look at this weekend all of a sudden. January is the new July. Now, I think both that and The Finest Hour is going to get the crap beat out of them by Kung Fu Panda 3. But this looks like a really good, that premise intrigued me. The Finest Hours intrigues me. You know Kung Fu Panda 3 is going to crush. I hope they all team up and beat the crap out of the new 50 Shades of Grey movie that's going to be coming out 2 weeks after that. So,
all right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Just email those questions in. We'll do our best to see if we can get it on the show. So for now, Sinead, what do we got in the mailbag?
Christopher Vroman writes, "Hey guys, love the show. My question for you is this. Now that the massive lineup for Captain America Civil War has been announced, do you think that there's any less of a chance we'll see Spider-Man in the movie? I know you've said multiple times that overcrowding a movie isn't really a thing, but still, it seems like that'd be a lot of people to split screen time between, especially if two of the heroes are brand new. Thank you all so much for all the effort you put into your fantastic show."
Yeah, Christopher, you bring up a good point. I do say all the time, look, don't worry about overcrowding. Every movie has like 50 characters in it. It's all about how do you use them, who plays tiny roles, small roles, mediocre roles, fairly large roles, and lead roles. If you balance that all out fine, you're good. That being said, this is getting crowded. It's getting really crowded. And the key thing is, one of the things he mentioned here is that not only do we have Captain America and Black Widow and all these Avengers and Thunderbolt Ross is coming back and Ant-Man's going to be there and everybody is going to be there. On top of that, if Spider-Man's going to be in it, you are introducing two significant new major hitters who are going to need some development and time. And I'm wondering, where do you get this screen time? Now, just to be clear, it is still not official that Spider-Man's going to be in this. It is the assumption that Spider-Man's going to be there. I personally believe Spider-Man was going to be there. I have somebody fairly connected to the production who insists to me that Spider-Man is going to be there and play a significant role, but it is not confirmed by Marvel at this point. But if he is, I'm really curious to see how the Russo brothers are going to handle this, because I'm always saying, don't worry about overcrowding. I'm starting to worry about overcrowding, and not just the overcrowding issue, but the other thing I brought up a few weeks ago is that even if it doesn't feel overcrowded, it's starting to feel less and less like a Captain America movie. And after seeing Winter Soldier, I really want this to be a Captain America movie. So who knows? The Russo brothers have pulled it off before. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, believe they're going to do it again. But I will admit, I'm a little bit worried at this point. Mark, how do you see this whole thing?
I think fire marshals are going to hate this movie because we're just about at capacity, kids. I think, of course, Spider-Man is going to be in here in some capacity. But again, look, I love both Avengers movies. I'm really excited about Batman v Superman because I like seeing all the heroes together. I didn't love Winter Soldier as much as everyone else. I don't think that had anything to do with the inclusion or the lack of certain other Marvel characters in that film. It's called Civil War, and so if it's Iron Man going against Captain America, and those are your two lead dogs, I know we have the other Avengers. They might take a step back, so you can introduce these new characters and Spider-Man, and I think it's the right way to go, particularly about Spider-Man. It's like, I don't need to see Spider-Man's on screen. I don't need a whole other origin story about him again. I would love for Spider-Man to be the Incredible Hulk of this movie, what he was to the first Avengers, where it's like, man, he was so I want to see more of that dude. Maybe tease me with Spider-Man a little bit more as opposed to throwing him and have him be one of the leads in this movie. So I don't need I don't need any of these guys to take a starring role other than Cap and other than Tony Stark.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to be overcrowded. I think it's going to be scene by scene. Like, you're going to have an Avengers scene. You're going to have a big scene that kind of pushes you into what the Civil War is. People are going to split up and become, take different sides. I think Black Panther will have a bigger role than Spider-Man will have.
I agree.
I think Black Panther might be the one that they're trying to split sides with. I wonder if the situation that we see from all these set photos with Crossbones, if that's going to be, maybe it could be Wakanda. We don't know. But I mean, I think it's going to set stuff up, and Cap is going to be the main character. Who's going to be the secondary character? It seems like it'll be Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then everyone else will have their role and have their scenes, but as supporting roles. So I don't think it's going to be too crowded. And I think Spider-Man will definitely be in there, and he'll be a supporting role for sure. He might have a little bit more time than maybe Black Widow or maybe the Vision. Spider-Man will probably have a little bit more time than that. But, I think once again, you're talking about possibly a 2-hour movie. Remember what the Avengers, like, if you broke all of the Avengers up, they're like, we're all 5 minutes of screen time. If that's how they broke it up, like, here's Hawkeye's scene, but it didn't really work that way. Everyone's kind of meshed together. So I think with the Russo brothers too, they have a really great style and they have a good temperament. I love the way the pacing of Captain America Winter Soldier was. So I'm looking forward to that pacing returning. They have a really good lockdown on how to tell a story. So.
All right, what's next?
Usman Mohammed writes, now that General Ross is back in the MCU, do you think this improves the chance for a return for Abomination? He never died in The Incredible Hulk. Maybe he will be referenced at least. Imagine if he gets released by Thanos in one of the future movies to cause carnage. It would be awesome.
I have believed for a long time that Abomination is that totally forgotten about ace up the sleeve that Marvel has. Marvel has this ace up their sleeve, this little advantage that nobody's talking about, nobody pays any attention to, but they got him there. I've always believed he is the key to making any potential Hulk standalone film work, but he could be used in almost anything. Because remember, in that one movie he appeared in, he does not die at the end whatsoever. Now, there's also, a lot of people forget, there is a Marvel one-shot called The Consultant. And what it is, it's Agent Coulson and another agent, the guy who dies in Winter Soldier, are sitting down talking about. And here's what the consultant's about. The World Security Council. Remember, this is made before Avengers came out. The World Security Council wants Abomination released and put into the Avengers Initiative. Fury and Coulson don't like the idea at all. And Abomination is right now a prisoner of and under the authority of General Thunderbolt Ross. So the way the short is set up is that it's these two guys, the agents, talking about how we going to get Thunderbolt Ross to deny the request. And they come up with this idea, let's send him Tony Stark to make the request because he hates Tony Stark and he'll be sure. And then that sets up that end scene in The Incredible Hulk where you see Thunderbolt Ross and Tony Stark talk about the Avenger Initiative. It turns out that was all set up to ensure that Thunderbolt Ross will say no and keep the Abomination locked up. But he's still there. He's in this world. I believe they even made a reference to him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They made a reference to how he's still locked up. I totally believe within the next couple of films, they're going to pull that ace out of their sleeve and use him. He's too good of a character not to use. I love the way they used him in that first film. So I do believe that the appearance of Thunderbolt Ross opens up the door a little bit more that perhaps an Abomination reappearance may not be all that far away. Anyway, Schnepp, what do you think about all this? Do you think they're going to just keep him locked up, or do you think they're going to utilize him at some point?
I think the question made me laugh because I just heard it in my nerd voice. Like, whatever happened to the Abomination? When's he going to be activated? It was like, but I also have that same feeling, so I'm a nerd too. So I was like, yes, I agree with you. Yeah, so.
And then we could put Qbert in there too.
If only Qbert was part of the Avengers. So. Yeah, I think the Abomination will eventually show up. That's a great idea, though. I didn't see The Consultant. I haven't seen any of those Marvel one-shots. So, I just have to have a one-day, catch up on all that stuff.
What's the one with Ben Kingsley where it turns out he's not the real Mandarin, but there is a real Mandarin? Do you remember that one, Christian? Something of the King. I don't think it was Return of the King, but it's All Hail the King.
Yeah, that was had Hobbits in it, didn't it?
Yeah.
That was Avengers and Hobbits and Qbert in this special.
You got to see that one though. That one's really good.
Qbert and the Hobbits when they eat that sandwich. Yeah, the Abomination. I want to see him. I just want him to have those weird wing ears. That's the one thing. Is of the design. If they could only bring back the ears, he
had more of a Doomsday look to him.
He did. He was all bony and weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say, look, bring him back. We got plenty of room in Civil War. Come on in. There's plenty of room in the hot tub. I think, first of all, a character named Abomination, you probably shouldn't put him in the Avengers Initiative. If his name is Abomination, you probably want to let that guy stay locked up. He's a really cool character. I hope that he does get his due, because if he ends up being a part of Infinity War, he end up, like the writer said, may just end up being a pawn in Thanos' greater scheme. So maybe use as a distraction or just as the front line, like when you're playing chess. What is that, a rook or a pawn or whatever you send out first?
Pawn.
I was more of a checkers guy. Yeah. So
rook is a very powerful character.
Okay.
In chess.
Write that down.
Pawn are the people you just go ahead and take that guy. Castle. Yeah.
All right, folks. Not only do we like to take your questions via email, we love taking your questions on Twitter as well. So if you've got a question for us or something you'd like us to discuss, just tweet it to us and just make sure you include the hashtag AMC Movie Talk, and that way we get to see it. So Sinead, what's in the Twitter sphere?
Josiah tweets, is the Boba Fett movie officially confirmed or just a report? Everyone acts like it's confirmed.
Yeah, everybody is acting like it's confirmed, but it's a lot like the Spider-Man in Civil War issue. First of all, to answer the question, it has not been confirmed. Nobody from Lucasfilm or Disney or anybody involved in the film has said that the second anthology movie is going to be a Boba Fett film. Nobody has. That came from a report out of the Wrap, which I don't see a lot of reason not to believe it. But just for, the sake of argument, it's not been confirmed. But a lot of us assume it's going to be, so it's going that. And I don't like it. I really don't. It's like one of the things that the prequels ruined, amongst all the things that they've ruined, was, taking the mask off Vader and demystifying Vader. It hurt Vader. It really did. It hurt the character of Vader. And it leaves us with Boba Fett, who's one of the last guys who is just, still has that mystery. He's so badass because we know so little. I don't want a backstory on him. I don't want to neuter that character. And I think that's what doing any type of a prequel of the character will be. I don't want to see a young Boba Fett movie. I just don't. For that reason, and probably that reason alone. But I'm sure if they do it, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and just trust that they'll do a good job. But to answer the question, no, it's not been confirmed by anybody. Have you guys heard anything different or otherwise?
No, but I'm of the same mind of you. Is that I think that the mystery is what keeps Boba Fett such a neat character. I think that taking the mask off him in a new movie, the fear is that it's like meeting a radio DJ in person. Like, oh my God, that's what you look like? Oh, okay.
Or
Thanks.
meeting the woman who is the voice on the other end of the phone sex line. It just demystifies the whole thing.
It is a woman at all, John.
It is a woman.
It's Qbert. You know what? Like I think about a year ago, I popped that information that there's a Boba Fett movie in the works. I don't know if you guys remember that. I called it like a year and a half ago. Just saying. And now people are still questioning it. Strangely, it bothers me a little bit. So let me just clear this up. I have nothing to do with Star Wars, and I don't know if there's a Boba Fett movie being made right now. But if there was a Boba Fett movie being made, it would not be young Boba Fett. It would actually be sort of like a Western where they would like get that armor from the Sarlacc pit and you wouldn't know who's wearing it. Now that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see like a very mysterious, cool, badass Western style version of Boba Fett.
But it takes 1,000 years to digest in the belly of the Sarlacc pit.
Somebody just killed that Sarlacc, like pulled it inside out. Yeah, but that brings up a lot of interesting points. That like George Lucas, when he messed with the original movies, he revoiced Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back and used Temora's voice, which I found upsetting just on many levels. But I don't know if they're all clones. The whole clone thing is just really confusing, and I wish that they could just kind of do a special magic wipe, like the Chris Hardwick wipe thing from, wipe, it's all gone. No, that never happened. Like, I wish that they could do that. I don't know if they can retcon that. You're more of a Star Wars, like, is that canon, those first three? Is that?
Oh, they're canon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a big mistake problem. So how I would erase that is
it's like that drug-addicted uncle you have that still lives in your grandmother's basement. You kind of don't like him, but he is family still. There's no getting around that.
It's like that one idiot cousin on Family Feud. We got to let you on there. Yeah. What's your favorite brand of toothpaste? Salsa.
Yeah.
Misa's still around. Misa real.
Yeah.
Misa number 5.
Oh. All right. Anyway, if they do go forward with this Boba Fett film, I would hope that they did that. That's a good way of retconning it. It has nothing to do with the clones. It's just somebody else who's like a bomb.
I mean, technically he is a clone, so a very unique clone, but a clone nonetheless. Anyway, what's next?
AJ tweets, will Looper get a sequel?
Looper always makes me sad when I think about Looper, because, one of the things that film fans, one of the things we always cry out for is, give us more original films. And then when original films come out and people don't go to see it, Looper is so good. Rian Johnson did such a great job on that movie. It's innovative. It's creative. Terrific performances by Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. Like, when I heard that Gordon-Levitt was going to play a younger version of Willis, I thought that's going to look stupid. They figured out a way to
did a great job.
Totally make it work. But if you've seen the film, and this is going to be a bit of a spoiler, but tough crap. The movie has been out for 3 years. You've had plenty of chances to see it. But warning, a little bit of a spoiler here. They die at the end. I mean, the whole premise, one of the big draws to Looper was the fact that it's Bruce Willis, it's, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, they're playing the same guy, blah, blah, and now that's gone. And I think domestically, it only made like $66 million, which it deserved to be $100+ million film North American wise. But I think worldwide it pulled in like 170 million on like a $30 million budget. It was profitable, but it's not a film that was made to have a sequel. And you couldn't market this film if you do a sequel with it, the way things stand. So, personally, I don't think, and Rian Johnson's a little busy now these days.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see it coming. I don't know. How do you see? Do you think we could see another Looper?
I think the brand name Looper actually holds more weight than you do. I think that because even if it wasn't a huge success domestically, I think that people are aware of the film and how cool and innovative it was. That's the movie that I'd want to see, is not necessarily bringing back any of the stars of the original film, but that technology, the way that they did time travel was so well executed in here that I'd like to see another story told with those mechanisms. I don't know that it'll happen. And again, sometimes I just like the one movie and then that's it, and you just drop the mic and walk off. But
I follow that sentiment. I think one and done is Looper, But add that S, loopers, just like aliens, then you have a whole new universe. That kind of, I love the world that Johnson wrote about and created with all those like time jumping assassins and just who was that creepy guy who could control space and time. It was like that kid, but then they fixed him, or didn't they? Or is there an alternate dimension where that kid became evil and then
could
fought
be mutants
himself
in this world.
Yeah, so it's one of those
basically.
things where like loopers, or if they ever wanted to do something on a slightly lower budget, I'd be all for it, and I would totally love to go back into that world that they created. And shame on you if you didn't see it in the theater, because it's like, it is that type of thing where we always want new films, and people constantly complain about, oh, how come there's a number 4 or number 5 of the same stupid sequel? It's like, well, Looper would have had a sequel if it was super successful. But that's the case in a lot of films. Some films are just films as a one shot. But then if they're really successful years later, look at Mad Max, 30 years later. Now we have an incredible sequel that we can all enjoy. So you never know.
All right, last question of the day.
Jesse tweets, if Skynet can time travel, why don't they just send an army to the 40s and take over in the past or the 1800s?
That's a very good question. And for those of you who don't know what the question is talking about, that's a Terminator reference. And it's a very
Cyberdyne. Yeah.
That's
Skynet.
It's a great question. Now, I am a big fan of the Terminator series. However, my memory is fogging a little bit. Perhaps, Mark can help me out here. If I'm not mistaken, don't they actually make reference in the first Terminator film that sending something back is incredibly taxing? They can barely do it. They can only send one thing, and that the humans were only able to send one person back to send. So is that what stopped?
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of budgetary constraints was sending one person back. But it's also like, look, even if you don't send him back to the 40s, even if you you can always Marty McFly this when he realizes he's in a time machine. And he's like, I'll just go back 10 minutes early. Why don't you go back 20 minutes early? Why don't you go back a little bit earlier just to make sure you can get the job done on time? But this premise is, don't go back to the 40s. Okay, there's enough stuff going on in the world. You don't need to muck it up with time travel. But it does make sense. It's like, let's keep going further and further back until we can get this thing solved. I don't think you need to go all the way back to the 1800s just to fix this Skynet thing that was going on in the early 80s. But I don't know what's going to happen with Terminator Genesis. I'm cautiously optimistic that they're going to redo some of the time travel conundrums that were presented in the last couple. But I think the more that you talk about, no, let's go back earlier and earlier and earlier, it just gets dumber as far as the plot goes.
But am I right or wrong about the fact that the reason they don't just send an army back is because I believe they set it up where they said they could only do it with one thing.
Yeah, they were going on. They had scraps of metal they were putting together. It's like, okay, we can do this once, and then let's see what happens.
Right, but now there's like 50 Terminators in the past. I think actually what you brought up just gave me an idea. Like maybe Terminator Genesis is them going like they keep sending Terminators farther to the point of Genesis, where it's just like the first humans and there's a Terminator shooting at them. You know what I mean?
There's like a Terminator carrying Moses to the promised land.
That'd be amazing. These 15, the Terminator broke the other 5. These 10 commandments.
The Terminator's got like
Arnold.
38 commandments.
Yeah, I would love to see that. The Terminator is the burning bush. He's on fire.
Let my people go.
Moses! Yeah. Moses Genesis. That would be an amazing film.
I think what we're saying is that cyborgs would make the Old Testament better.
Yeah. Throw Arnold back in time as a robot. Yeah.
All right, folks, so that'll do it for us for this installment of AMC Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater, showtime, and, of course, your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video, and you'll find a link to our podcast feed. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I want to thank, first of all, the guys sitting at the table with me. Sitting over here on my left, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you and Kubert?
You guys can find me and Kubert at John Schnepp and at TDOSLWH on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me and not Kubert in London this weekend at the MCM London Comic-Con. We're showing The Death of Superman Lives What Happened. There's still tickets available, so all you UK sweaties, get on that, get that ticket. Come see me. We'll be there in person with me and Holly Payne will be there. So we'll be in London for like a week, and then we're going to be hanging out at Orbital Comics on, I believe it's May 30th. So come and see us there. We're doing signings and stuff. So.
Sitting over here on my right, the vice president of the Jack Reacher fan club, Mr. Mark Ellis. Mark, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, not watching Jack Reacher, at 5150 Ellis. And I'll be doing some sentimental tweets tonight from 5150 Ellis. It's the last new late show with David Letterman that you'll ever see. If you've never watched it before, kids, make sure you get a chance one last time to watch the greatest late night TV host since Johnny Carson.
Do you know who's going to be his guests yet?
Bill Murray is one of them.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. And of course, our lovely host today, keeper of the holocron of all things Disney Hercules, Miss Sinead DeFries. Sinead, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Sinead DeFries and at thatsosinead.com.
And you guys can simply find me online. Follow me on Twitter or on Facebook, just at John Campy. Oh, and one last thing, guys. We're going to be at Comic-Con this year. Make sure you check out our panel that we're going to have there. More details on that to come. So that'll do it for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. My name is John Campy for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.